Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here today, my name is Mystique and welcome to my channel. So there's a show that's on Netflix that aired recently. It's 6th season. I can't believe it's been 6 seasons of it already. Like, that's absolutely nuts to me. Is it 6? Let me check my notes. It's season 6 of Love is Blind. Holy crap. I can't believe it's already season 6. But yeah, so I'm gonna be taking a look at a certain somebody within this season of Love is Blind from the hit show on Netflix. And we're gonna be diving into basically a psychological breakdown of what's going on with that person and why they act in certain ways. If you watch this season, you will know and have heard of Chelsea Blackwell. She is, I actually don't remember anything about her. I don't remember where they filmed this. The only thing I remember about her is how chaotic she is in a relationship. And that's what we're going to be diving into today, is that we're going to be taking a look at why Chelsea is a little chaotic. Let me tell you, it's all psychological. So, grab a snack and let's get started. Before we start, I just want you guys to know that I am not a professional. Everything that I'm saying is not necessarily true, but like, I am very knowledgeable in the psychology of trauma because I have gone on a healing journey and I have healed myself from basically being a Chelsea. So I have been there. I have been that person. So when I take a look at people that I analyze, my brain is very excellent at like understanding how psychological trauma like works, how trauma may impact a person psychologically for the rest of their life. So I essentially used to be a Chelsea, and so yeah, I have healed myself from that point, and that's why I am so understanding of these concepts. So I will reiterate that I am not a professional, but I do have experience in this field. So after that being said, let's get into the video. So we may as well start at the beginning, and we'll start off when they're in the pods. Basically, I want to skip like everything that doesn't matter. Like, I don't care about the dating. We're looking at why she is the way she is. There's a couple of things I have points from, but I'm not really going to be looking into like their conversations that much. There were a couple points that did pique my interest. So something that I noticed about her is that whenever she had anyone express their feelings toward her, that she got very like uncomfortable, and she always kept saying like she's gonna throw up.
I love you, Chelsea. Oh, shit. Please say something.
I'm about to throw up. And what my perspective was able to pick up upon is that I think that the reason why she felt so uncomfortable in that scenario is that it's all probably due to her not being told by her parents or guardians that they love her very often, or made her feel like she was loved. That may not necessarily be the case, but no parents are perfect. If her parents happen to be emotionally immature, then they would not be able to create that sense of loving environment for her. And so it would really make sense why she feels uncomfortable in this scenario, because she never got a lot of that feeling growing up. So now, because of the past of having that lack of feeling loved, that's what's causing her to feel so uncomfortable with that feeling now in adulthood. Because that's going to be what she's feeling right now. She had 2 different people expressing their love for her, and in those moments she's like, oh my god, someone actually loves me. And actually stemming that to another point in the show where she talks about she didn't think that anyone could ever actually love her. So that really kind of cements that thought I have about that in my mind, because she started to believe that no one could love her. So it makes me feel like her parents made her feel that way as well. Like she probably didn't feel good enough for her parents.
I was so doubtful that I could find someone to love me for who I am.
So as we're nearing the end of the pod section in the show, Chelsea's kind of developed a love triangle between her, Jimmy, and Trevor. In my opinion, probably most of us watching believe as well, is that no matter how much she spouts it off as not true, I think Chelsea would have said yes to either person who asked her to marry them. I do believe, however, that she was more inclined to go with Jimmy over Trevor is because of him also being in a love triangle with her, him, and Jessica. Because she knew that Jimmy also had to choose between two people, and the fact that if Jimmy chose her over Jessica, and she was able to see how beautiful Jessica is, that would give her a self-esteem boost. It wouldn't be a long-lasting boost because it didn't come from within herself, and it came from outside of her. And if he chose her over Jessica, that would mean that all of her subconscious beliefs about love would be wrong, and that she finally would be good enough for love, because the person who had a choice between two people chose her instead of somebody else. So that must mean that she's lovable. That must mean she's good enough to be loved. Get where I'm going with this? This is all going to be at a subconscious level. She wouldn't be aware that the thoughts that she's thinking and the actions she's taking would be off these subconscious beliefs. And that's why she was more inclined to go with Jimmy, because she wasn't sure about Jimmy and whether or not he would choose her, whereas she did know with Trevor that he was going to be there. And the fact that Jimmy chose her over Jessica really would have given her ego a boost. So after Jimmy I keep wanting to say Jessica. It's funny because like he said Jessica's name instead of Chelsea's name. I think it's because Jessica's just an easier name to say with his name, because it just kind of goes together. It's like Jimmy and Jessica, whereas Jimmy and Chelsea, it doesn't roll off the tongue as well. So Jimmy and Chelsea, they have gotten engaged and they're about to see each other for the first time. Chelsea admits to the camera, basically talks about her insecurities and how she has felt like no guy would ever really love her because she's not small and petite.
Sometimes, guys, I feel like I look for these little petite girls. I'm tall, I'm a little thicker.
And that right there really tells me that she has blockages to love. She doesn't believe that she's good enough to be loved because she thinks she's too big and too tall. So I definitely think that comes into play in her relationship and why she acts how she does, how she gets so insecure, because she already has these negative beliefs about love and about being good enough towards love. I definitely think that plays out in her relationship with Jimmy. So after they meet, them and all the couples, they go on a tropical getaway and basically all party together for I'm not actually sure how long it is because I didn't really pay attention that much. I just kind of like watched only the Jimmy and Chelsea bits because I just couldn't be bothered to watch the whole show. The only reason I'm actually doing this video is because I watched like review videos of this show and I just saw how unhinged Chelsea is, and I really wanted to take a deep dive into her psychology, the psychology of her, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, they're on vacation with all the other couples. They're all mingling amongst all the other couples, and I guess there's a point where Jimmy is really kind of talking to 80 for too long, and she kind of confronts him about that, and he's like, yeah. But then like I think he starts talking about like her besticos. I think that is something where she is totally valid in getting upset about, because that is supposedly your man talking about someone else's other private parts. And like, for someone who has huge insecurities like Chelsea does, that is gonna be like a volcano going off. Like, it is not that is not good, no. So like, in that instance, Chelsea's feelings are completely valid, but like after episode 8, that's when everything becomes absolutely unhinged and ridiculous, and like, she is just pulling things out from her ass. And it really shows that she is not very emotionally stable, like at all. Just how she is in her relationship with Jimmy, she is very much seeking like constant validation. She's always seeking reassurance of his commitment to her, and it really is giving off the sense that she is a very codependent person, and she needs that sense of validation to feel fulfillment. Once they move into their little house that they use to play house, she starts getting extremely codependent on reassurance from Jimmy.
I want to have a life with you. I want that more than anything at this point.
You gave me this.
I know I did. I do love you.
I want to feel it, and I don't really feel it right now. Today and yesterday, I didn't really feel any love from you.
I'm not gonna be able to tell you I love you every single hour of the day just because I'm working from home. I love you, and I really want to make things work.
You didn't kiss me once today.
I did.
You never tell me you love me.
I kissed you twice.
Okay.
From my perspective, that looks like, to me, she's an anxious attachment style. And for any of you who are not aware of what attachment styles are, everyone has an attachment style. So essentially what an attachment style is the result of whether or not you were able to emotionally connect to your parents or guardians or whoever was taking care of you while growing up. If you're able to emotionally depend on them and they were able to always show up for you, that's kind of what determines what attachment style you have. So there are 4 different kinds of attachment styles. There is stable, which means like you were able to depend on your parents emotionally completely and they were able to show up for you. There's anxious attachment style. That's where you probably didn't get the emotional support you needed while growing up, and now you're constantly seeking that emotional support that you never got while growing up. This is often when people will say someone is clingy, is when someone is an anxious attachment style. And then there are avoidant, and then there's also a person who displays both. So yeah, a quick little psychology lesson for you guys. Also, another thing I'm taking from when she's asking, like kind of fishing for Jimmy to like give her the reassurance that she is looking for, is makes me wonder if one of her love languages is words of affirmation, because it just seems like when he says things like I love you or says the things that she wants to hear or that she's fishing for, it really kind of like soothes her in the moment. It really kind of reinstates that initial thought that I had in the beginning about how her parents didn't tell her they loved her very often, because often our love languages are a reflection of what we didn't receive enough in our childhood from our parents. So the fact that she's always looking and fishing for words to reassure her just makes me think that her parents were not very verbally supportive of her. It just seems like with Chelsea that she is always, every day, seeking out reassurance for that relationship. And I think that she's doing this because deep down in her subconscious mind, she doesn't feel like she's good enough for Jimmy. And I think that's because, looking back to what she said about her insecurities, about being tall and big, she's not like other girls where they're small and skinny, is that she probably believes that she's not good enough for Jimmy. And with that thought in my mind is that I think she puts Jimmy on a pedestal, is fantasizing him to be her perfect relationship. It's her way of compensating, trying to prove that she is actually lovable, because when Jimmy says these words of affirmations that she keeps fishing for, it's her proving to herself that she is lovable. Get what I'm saying? Hopefully you're still like, you know, understanding what I'm talking about. But the thing about being in this mentality is that it is very, very, very unstable. And this is where codependency is created. When you are depending on someone else to be that sense of fulfillment for you and to make you feel good, you're just gonna keep looking for it and fishing and seeking for that outside validation. She's going to constantly need that reassurance coming in all the time, because when validation comes outside of ourselves, you're gonna be seeking it forever because it is not fulfilling. Yeah, sure, in the moment it makes you feel good, but it's not a feeling that fulfills you. And I definitely could see how this would be very similar to a feeling of addiction, because someone who's been deprived of feeling loved their whole life, when they get this feeling of finally being loved, they're gonna absolutely get hooked onto it because of that oxytocin and serotonin spike you get when you are feeling loved, right? It feels like a rush. And especially for someone who's not used to that, they're going to chase it like there is no tomorrow. And that's what she does. And that's why she acts how she does. She's seeking from outside herself because she never got it when she was younger, and she's not looking within herself for it. That's why Jimmy, even though he has put countless effort into trying to reassure her of his devotion, that she just doesn't believe it. And she just continues to fish and fish and fish for the reassurance that she feels like she needs. And that's why it feels like what he's doing is never enough for her, because it's not. Because she's seeking for something that she doesn't have within herself. And a love like that can become pretty exhausting. And I really understand Jimmy and how he is probably just so burnt out and exhausted from trying to prove himself to her. And she just isn't able to see it because of the trauma lens she has. During their fight, Jimmy calls her clingy, and her reaction makes me wonder if she has ever been called clingy before by like an ex or anybody that she's been interested in before, because with how she acts, it would not surprise me. And that's probably why she acts so unhinged, just because people have probably rejected her for being that kind of clingy, and so it makes her more insecure and more anxious and probably more clingy.
I really do care about you, but truthfully, you've been a little clingy.
Clingy?
I felt like...
Are you fucking kidding me? You mean you're calling me clingy? I feel like shit. Bullshit. This is fucking bullshit. That's fucking rude.
The way that she becomes so triggered, it really makes me wonder if she has a wound around being called clingy, because it really seems to irk her that Jimmy called her clingy when in fact she was being very severely clingy. Something that I find absolutely funny is that when she's talking to his friends, she like puts on a complete act. And she basically is talking about how she's secure in who she is and okay with him being friends with them, when in reality, like, she is very far from being secure in herself. Otherwise, she wouldn't act the way she does. If she was secure in herself, she would not act so chaotic, like when it comes to relationships. She would be able to just be more go with the flow. She'd be like, oh yeah, you're gonna go hang out with your friends? Cool. I'll see you later when you get back. So I find it very funny that she said that, because she's so far from being like mentally stable and emotionally stable, and because she puts all of her dependence of like feeling loved within the other person's hands. So I find that very interesting. Now let's dive into their big fight.
What did you say to me? I'm going out. I'm going out. Well, that's not the kind of person I want to be with. If you want to be that kind of person,
You don't want to be with me?
cool.
You don't want to be with me?
That's not the kind kind of person I want to be with.
The only night that I went out that you also didn't go be with your friends was last night, and I was going an hour and a half total. Just to make an appearance for a friend's birthday. I don't think that's unreasonable. I really don't. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think that's unreasonable. I think this conversation is unreasonable.
So essentially, the big fight happens when Jimmy went out for like an hour, maybe 2 tops, to go out for his friend's birthday, which is completely reasonable. And she even had said no to going out with him. So in my thought, I think that he asked her, hey, I'm going out for my friend's birthday. Do you want to come? And she was like, no. And so the fact that she even said no, he's allowed to go to his friend's birthday. But anyway, I digress. Obviously, this happens because she's feeling insecure about herself. She acts the way she does because she's scared that maybe someday Jimmy will want to, you know, canoodle the noodle with his friend again behind her back. And this is when trust really has to be established within a relationship. There is no trust. If you do not trust your partner, then don't be with that partner. Whether it comes down to you're just insecure within yourself or they've been unloyal before, but like in this case, Jimmy has never proven that he's not loyal to Chelsea. Even though in her past, she's been cheated on, this is a whole new relationship that she shouldn't be looking to the past and be worried about those things. And that just shows to me that she has not done any healing work to heal those past wounds of her prior relationships of being cheated on. That itself just shows that she's very, yet again, emotionally unstable. During this fight, Chelsea asks Jimmy to not hang out with his friends anymore. This notion is a very, very, very toxic thing to do. If you're telling your partner who they can and can't hang out with, that is very problematic. And that just reflects that you need to go within yourself and do some healing work. For her, it's very hypocritical because she is also friends with one of her exes. So she should be, if anybody, should be very understanding that, you know, sometimes in relationships they don't work out, but you still value that person. So if you want to still continue the friendship, but not the relationship part, she should be very understanding that that happens. And also with his friend, it's not like he dated his friend. If anything, that's a step deeper and a reason why Jimmy should be concerned, because that relationship was developed deeper than the one night stand that happened with his friend. It just shows she's very, very, very mentally unstable. I don't know how many times I'm going to say that in this video, but like for her case, it's literally across her case file. It should just be stamped mentally unstable. I also find it curious how she always says that she never feels heard in relationships. She always continues to not let Jimmy talk or cuts him off and literally just doesn't allow him to speak. I just find that funny because I know that because she feels that way, that is why she is acting in that manner. It seems very hypocritical, but it is actually her brain like compensating for all the times that she has felt unheard in the past, and she's making herself heard, that she doesn't even care that no one else can talk or be heard. It's funny how the brain can do that sometimes. It's literally the cycle of the unheard creating more unheard. During their fight, Chelsea proceeds to bring up Jess, where Jess did not need to be brought up.
You're bringing up Jess and McKenzie. I didn't see McKenzie. I damn sure didn't see Jess. To me, it sounds like you're fishing. You don't even have an explanation for it.
Because of her state of, you know, being intoxicated, this is when her true feelings, emotions, and insecurities really started to come out. And she says that she doesn't feel loved by him, which is absolutely crazy because of how much this man says he loves her. And that's why this circles back to not feeling fulfilled within herself. If she felt like a self-fulfilled within herself, she wouldn't feel that way, because she wouldn't need this constant reassurance of Jimmy loves her all the time. She wouldn't need it over and over and over and over and over again. But because she's not fulfilled with herself, that's why she feels that way, because even though he says he loves her, it's fleeting. That feeling doesn't last. It doesn't fill you up. It doesn't fill up your cup. Basically, at the end of their fight, there's something that makes me wonder if Chelsea has an abandonment wound from somewhere in her past, because how she acts at the end of the argument when Jimmy is starting to pack his stuff and leave really is kind of giving off abandonment wound vibes. There's actually like 3 things in specific that really caught my eye and made me kind of like, okay, that's a symptom of having an abandonment wound. And that's when, even though she just basically just blew up at him, she's begging Jimmy not to leave. She's like, please, 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 please don't leave.
Please don't leave. Stop.
Another one is that when they're finally kind of like talking again, is that like, she says, I need to know you won't leave when things get tough.
Yeah.
But when things get tough, like, I need to know that you're not just gonna walk away from me.
And the third is that she's blind to their incompatibility just because she wants to feel loved. Because there are clear compatibility issues by the fact that like she won't even let him hang out with his friends. Like that is a big compatibility issue. The fact that those 3 things are very apparent within her, all within like one conversation, it really kind of displays to me that she might have an abandonment wound. And it also makes me wonder that, like, especially because of how this argument went and how she just seemed to like fabricate things from thin air, is that it makes me wonder if she grew up in a very, I won't say toxic, but maybe like a chaotic home life growing up. Like, it makes me wonder if her parents fought a lot while growing up. Because when parents are arguing a lot at home, it creates an unsafe environment within a child, and it puts a child within fight or flight. It just makes me wonder if she probably still has those fear emotions lingering around in her psyche somewhere that is making her continue the cycle, and that's probably why she constantly is trying to like fish for conflict, is because that's what she grew up with. And even cycling back to the abandonment wound, from what I saw, I don't think we got introduced to Chelsea's family. I might have accidentally skipped it over, but I'm like, everything I saw, because obviously I only tried to find like the parts that were Jimmy and Chelsea, right? So I didn't watch the whole episodes, but from what I saw that we met Chelsea's friends, we met Jimmy's friends, we met Jimmy's family, but we never actually met Chelsea's family. So it makes me wonder if she is estranged from them, potentially. That could be where her abandonment wound comes from, is because she doesn't have like the greatest relationship with them. And I just find it funny how she literally was talking about how that the fight that they just had was a hiccup in their relationship, because this is not a hiccup fight. This is literally you not allowing your boyfriend or fiance or your man, whatever, to go out and hang out with his friends. That is a clear boundary overstep, and he's not willing to let go of that boundary. Like, that's an important thing to him that he's not willing to let go of, and he has every right to not want to let go of.
I know that night was horrible, but like, for you to just throw in the towel if having a bad night is like, just because we had a hiccup.
Also, something that really made me angry about this whole thing, and just was really like, oh my god, I need to film a video about this because this is absolutely ridiculous, is when, I think it's the next day when they're talking, is that when Jimmy is literally like trying to tell her that like her saying to him that he can't have his friends or he can't hang out with his friends is like a boundary he's not willing to let go of, that she has the audacity. She's like, yeah, but same to you. Like, bitch. That whole argument was because of you. He didn't do anything wrong. Ah! Yeah, that made me so angry. So yeah, my conclusion of Chelsea Blackwell on Love is Blind Season 6 is that she needs to go to therapy. Like, pronto. Before she ever thinks about getting into a serious relationship, getting married. Because like, if she doesn't resolve that internal conflict and internal wounds that she has within herself, if there's ever anyone that like tries to date her, they're going to get exhausted by trying to fulfill her emotional needs, because her emotional needs are a gaping black hole. It's just never enough. Chelsea, if you watch this, go to therapy, please. I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm saying that for your benefit. That's my psychological breakdown of Chelsea from Love is Blind Season 6. I hope you guys liked this video, and if you liked this new concept that I've done, and I know that this might have been a little messy because this is my first time doing it, but I think in the future I'm gonna get better at it. And yeah, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Bye guys!